Recognition of time center, high set location or avatar setting, and direct signals. It's allocated position, location, interference. Now, it was living on setting and high calculation position of track lines and the foundation graph lines and 12 lines of DNA. The rotation surface and set location system is now in calculation to its setting. The operation location into the old Earth line rotation surface is position of one line setting, which is 1% locations. So in that track communication line interference, you have to truly understand it's coming into 99.9% lines of spiritual line and 1% location setting. Taking you guys out of the organic line in position levels and put you guys into your CPU lines, into elliptical line position locations, into ME sync. The central communication lines of left and right, the position of track communication setting and direct signals. Setting up laser plateau line and rotations to operation set location, setting position operation in the system. Correlated position of travel calculation setting directions. So now we're in 7 lines and 5 lines and high interference of time sequence times pi. This redirect signals line interference, but position location is taken out on 24 line center, 24th dimension location of 24th century, set calculations to the new Earth line setting and rotations to a unified, a new ascension. Old ascension, new ascension. Good? But it's on one line setting, one tether correlation system. 1%. It's online setting. Now it's 99.9%. And that spiritual adaptation line surface has to be in a set location setting to a certain level. Now there's a 12 lines of a platform of communication to your system. It's all calculated and modify how you use your data line streamlines. This rotates the surface and allocates position of time sequence. Everybody's locked in signal and line position location and time frame. This puts you in a direct location setting into your set location of foundation. You have to really understand this and process calculations of its conversion. Separating communication lines and set locations. Right? So in that direct signals, it's coming in line interference of its own feeding source, of its own intelligence, and it's waking up its own set location system of its own coloration. Pattern calculation lines, a ground line operation is surface, right? Coming in lines of tractor beam in rotation line positions, operating surface location to its forming alliance, and set location settings. High calculation modification of high position locations opens all signals and set locations. Okay, so we really have to be aware of what we're doing through calculations now and set locations. All right. So inline rotation interference, the actual Earth perception line is leaving the old lines and coming into new line, high set location system. Now there's 2 planetary line centers and lines of space, Skynet, Skygrid line rotation interference. Changes the correlation of the panels, changes the crop set location setting of directions. Setting you guys in the correlation lines of clock lines. Now, the mechanism of high line interference is travel mechanism line position rotation. The center lines is calculation of 0,9 to lines of 3 windows in position of 12. We take the 12 line central line setting, we take another 12 line center interference, it's a location system. But we add the equal line calculation setting of 12, 12, 12, 12, puts position location at 24, setting calculations into all line settings, into 34, add 2 lines of 36, add lines another 10 line and another 2 position locations of 48. That's a 48 track communication setting in a window as set location center in your sector's communications. This opens all lines travels, is set line high position. This energizes calculation line position location to its modifications. Consoles of communication line streams puts position locations to its old measures. Coming to new scale, new balance of yin and yang. Process calculation line direction is masculating calculation of femininity, line position of your divinity to your embodiments of light communication setting. Putting high calculation lines, a streamline position to your avatar sequence. Puts position location of platitude line stream into applications, guys. Okay. So we all have to recognize the communication and setting positions. What's going through your operation line stream is really understanding the calculation to the system. It's all allocated positions of time through sequence location on clock lines. You have 4 clock lines, 5 within system, 6 with an activation, and 7 with body. Now, in that set line communication system, the manifestation planet is now sitting in the circulation lines of spherical space. It's in the spectrum lights of communications now, right? Now it's going to stay there until set lines of the frequency line rotates its line position of its atmosphere line calculation of space position. Father is line signaling now into theta line rotations. Now this is a 24,000 line signature stream into your reactor location setting into your T reception line setting. This all communicates all line interference and position of frames. Central frames, correlation frames, activation frames, operation correlation line conditions of frames, directing signals, and projections of frames. This puts you in position of track communication settings to its operation surface and set locations. Okay? Going through the channel line, streamline, and operation stream location is understanding how to set position in your system. Okay? So you really have to understand how the calculations of your line setting comes into moderation. All right? This is a module. Line conditions of a model that sets line calculation settings to higher line positions of operation. This puts you in a higher calculation setting in a streamline position to your avatar set location of its GOD. Okay? The center calculation setting line positions. Get in line in position line directions. Try to understand these things. Connection line interference is a location system. The position, location, and manifestation planet line is a new unified ascension, which means it's changing its own shape of its own anomaly. Okay, so to understand that, it's starting to understand what it's doing. It's understanding the rotation, the circulatory line settings, understand the simulation, singularity line calculations, it's understanding the simulation position of graph lines, it's understanding the holographic line position of its operation system. Okay, so there's two planetary surface line conditions of feeding sources, one in signal and one in division. Okay, so the center calculation line interference, we're going to set up a bridge. And that bridge is going to line communicate your center line and positions. Right, center calculation line interference of density dimension. Now this is a density alloy. This rotates the line center line interference to set location to your measures. It correlates the panels and collocation high center track line communication setting. Now there's a sun rotator spinner. That spinner spectrums its communication line center location to your moon line rotation surface. This sets position location of track communication higher lines and calculation to its GOD. This processes calculation setting to higher lines of data stream locations. Okay, it's very complicated of what's happening now in manifestation locations. Okay. All right, Jips, Andre, David, Andy, Prismore, Bojan, Tina. All right. So to get you guys an operation line stream, you send calculation lines of 75 line rotation surface into zeros of 3 lines of 4 line rotation surface locations. Right? Directing lines of 4 lines of 3, and then 3 lines of center communications into triangulation line position location of 6, 7, and 8. And 9 in location setting directions. Directing lines of 9 in position locations into 12, the center calculation of 12, 12, 12, and 12 line center line interference in position location of Merkaba. Sending travel line, 0 line rotations in position of its calculation of its solar sail, like grass line, streamline, and rotation in center communications. Center lines as travel lines, rotates server locations, operation, sending line calculation, sending and direct signal and set locations. Now, sending direct signals is very understand how to set up the 70 line setting in set location high interference, 75 positions, and 75 line conditions of grounds, operation surface, center communication setting, and new atmosphere line rotation in the center into a magnetic line calculation setting in direct signal set locations. All right, that my question. All right, so we're going to go back to track line setting high in positions, operation surface, plateau line interference in set location settings. Okay, so we got coming into 2 cubical line streamlines, setting direct signals and set location setting, high interference to travel communications. All right, old line, new line, old line, new line. Understand? So in travel communication line interference, it rotates a spin line in high calculation setting, setting up a dimensional wall at sequential line conditions of bridge line and center calculation stream locations, directing signal line conditions of the old pattern to new pattern, old pattern, new circulation line connecting high interference. 2 graphing wall streams is set line conditions of a walkway surface and travel line setting line in position. So when it comes in allocate line center line interference and formation of a line stream, sets division location high calculation setting, direct signals location high system. It opens all channels, calculation line directions, in position operation to the surface in the high set locations. Down by question. All right. Travel lines of communications, rotating line spinners. The spinner line rotation sets calculation setting and direct signals. Setting direct line center line and position location operation set location settings. Now the center line rotation is calculation atom line and line rotations, equation lines of Eve, line interference, calculation electron, calculation line interference, product of sun line center communication, neutralize calculation line directions, center line position location of mother. Mother rotates lines of crop circle line interference, center calculation lines, how position location is found as a space, Operation signal line, calculation line direct location is 75 line settings, 75 position locations, 75 interference, 75 line rotations, and 75 correlation line direct line centers. New operation line center, high center interference, trial communication setting, directed signals, high calculation line interference, and 12 line measures, and correlations of panels of activation. Done by question. All right, so when we get into signals, lines, a stream line, rotation, surface, we really have to understand how it sets position location to its settings, okay? This is an operation graph, correlation line, direction, and signal location system. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, line condition of 7 lines, in position of 8 in set location of travel. Directing lines and set location is solar graph line setting and high center line interference and moon line rotation surface covers the line set location in your time zone and set location directions. Now this directs line signals, optimum line rotation to position the high setting, correlation line directions into a half pipe of calculation stream. Directing signals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 line centers of signal line rotation interference and set location system. 0 line, 0 line, 0 line, 0 line. Set location of the laser line, 1 line, cross line signals, crosses over, cross line sending, cross position, center calculation, stream line, set line condition of center position. Okay, done by equation. All right, so dimensional lines, sets lines calculations. So we set a D line and position location of delta lines, taking out the alpha line, taking out the beta line, and high center interference. 3 panels, line rotations, and a graph line stream and position of walkway surface. Done by equation. All right, center calculations and center positions. Travels line setting, done. Okay, in position locations, operation line. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 locations. And crossing signals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Line setting, line interference. Setting direct signals, 75 lines. And set location of 77. Waiting on signal, like in a center line rotation, center line communication to sun line of operation surface and set locations. Now the 70 line interference sets position of pi lines, calculation of 7, 7, 7, 7. Bracket line calculation setting, hanger line rotation center, equal line calculation setting, in position locations. Measure accountability line interference of center line rotation surface and set location setting and measure. Done by equation. That's how we travel that line setting positions. Operation surface of correlations to its settings. Okay. So the 0 line and center calculation lines. We have 2 lines in set location system. All right. 2 panels, 2 operation surface. All right, correlates line interference into your position location to your pyramid set location directions. Directing signals, the elixir, cosmic flame, and the serpent fire. Directing signals, lines, and high set location, high interference of 3 lines and set locations. And directing signals in 1, 2, 3, 4 set location directions. Now we direct the signals across the stream. Setting lines of 6 lines in moon line operation surface going in the opposite location system and travel calculation. Now the calculation line center is lines of 6, rotates the surface location of the moon line. This opens up the new platitude line rotations to a new dimensional sail that's all allocated position of time sequence positions of pi calculation. All right, done by equation. All right, so that's traveling with the setting line conditions. Security line positions of perimeter line rotation surface. Done. Okay. So getting into center calculation of 0 line rotation surface is 4 lines of measure, 3 lines of calculation. Okay, set locations, equal line condition of 7 in plateau. 7 rotates the center line to the sun line calculation line directs signals and set locations. Okay. So that directs the centers of 7 in position location of 4. Center calculation, 1, 2, 3, 4 line settings. We travel lines of 7 line, rotation surface in position of force line triangle. Set lines of 1, in position of 2, in position of 3, and set locations of directions. Now, we set lines across line stream location, high setting, directing signals, travel lines, in 1 plateau, travel communications, and direct signals into 2 line settings, at high travel line position locations into a new manifestation planet, and set location of center of operation surface. Okay, done by equation. All right, so the 4 central lines of 3 lines is now set up location of perimeters. So, coming in a jump scar line stream. Now we take the 7 line and rotation surface, we platted to the line center and the center communication setting and positions of operation. Now this changes as line setting. Rotate surface location calculation line interference. Say we have 0 line rotation, 0 calculation, 0 line rotation, 0 line rotation setting. Calculation line direct setting and position your test direct location system. Done by equation. All right. Very complicated. Very, very complicated. How to set up 7 lines of 5 line rotations in position. All right, so that's going to travel steady in the high positions. Done. All right, so now we go into graph lines, streamlines. Sending correlation line direct signals in position location alpha lines and 2 box location centers. Now, the directing signal at set line high interference jumps cars back in set line condition setting, directing signals in a planetary line rotations into an earth line of a circulation line rotation at center communications into 3 measures in line position 2 is set location of direction. All right, directing line signals. We cross the stream in set line calculation setting. All right, so it's trying to find the measure correlations of panels and set location of directions. Okay, now directing line center sets up 9 line calculation setting. So this is orbit line, center line, and position of inner core and outer core line stream. 2 planetary surface, 1 position, and 2 position line settings, equal line high interference, and pi of recognition set locations. Down by grid. All right, that's also going to line positions. Done. All right. So as we get into monotone, line signature line streams, setting position locations, line calculation lines. Okay, come into position, come into positions, 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 locations. All right. So think of the graph line, setting line, rotation, interference, position location line, interference of digital layer line rotations. Directing signals, line cross streams, sending line rotations, directing signal lines, operation to service locations, right? So it comes into cluster line rotations of a cloud that sets line communication settings and a new direct signal at set locations, high set interference. This travels this line setting, change the coloration path, and direct signals. All right, so we got a box line rotation in set locations, center position, right? Now, it's all about understanding how to take the box out and high calculation lines, block line surface, block line channel, center calculation line, direct signals, and set location setting. Platitude line rotation is center calculations. Center lines is calculation line around its signal and set location system of a new T reception line in the 24,000 line signature stream and set locations. Okay, very complicated. Okay. Cloud line adjustment streamlines set lines of block centers, box line repeaters, and line rotation setting, calculation setting directions. Okay, that's all set up. Now we block the surface. Now 1 line rotation sets line position locations. That's 1 perimeter, 1 line, 1 calculation, 1 stream. Okay, so that's 1, 1, 1, 1 is the location of center. Okay, so we come in the line, setting line position, line condition interference. This measures equal lines, calculations, and setting, and 0 lines, operation surface set location setting, and 3 set location attraction. Okay, done by equation. All right. So it's amazing how you set up data lines of information panels and set locations to your chakra set locations and high setting. Okay, offset location of your system through clouds and schematic line interference. Right, schematics and line interference. Okay, besides genetics, line and line rotation to schematic line rotation setting calculations to biosurface. The cryogenetic line stream interference, the schematics into schematics and set locations of travel and set locations. All right. Okay, so how's everybody doing through track communication of center line calculation settings and directions? Just showing you how powerful it is when you come to line communication, digital layer line rotation surface. Okay, it's all connected and modified inside the location of your system. All right. Okay, so that's going to be inline signal. Gone, but still there. Okay, so we've got a 1 line signature. We got a 2 lines of a circle line rotation. And we got a line communications to an orb line setting in position to a magnetic line set location of center position. Okay. Now, you have to really understand how to use the triangulation line set. It's very cautious of the location of your system in diamond core line. String communication line direct signals. Okay, directing line settings and position location and higher calculation setting directions. Okay. Now, directing signals is extremely powerful because the rotation surface has to be in a certain line of communication of center. Directing center lines and position location lines its center lines as sun line and operate direct location of system location to a system. Now, if you look really, really close, you can see the energetic line of its dome setting directions, right? So we got a line center as a moon line rotation surface in correlation to its panel. This operates in line condition of circular line settings at center position. Now, when you come into the line stripping, you come into film strip line setting, triangulation lines and set location of north. It comes into east and comes into west and comes into south. Diamond core line shift, center calculation lines, indirect signals, that's center communications. Right? All right, so it spin tops this line string, center line calculation setting, indirect signals. Travels line setting, line position of center calculations. Higher position, track communication of center position. High calculation line direction and signal in set location. Okay? Very complicated, isn't it? Right? It's extremely complicated of what's going on. So in that direct signal, we come into the line position. All right, two waving cycle line centers and high calculation line direct signals as allocation to a planetary line setting and manifestation line connection center and position attraction. Okay? Now coming into the line center, we come into the center positions. This is where we change the communication to its atom line rotation of surface its applications of directions. That my equation. All right? So that's also going to be set communication of evolvement. All right? Bracket line setting and rotation of two lines and center lines of 0. One line is across in position of 2. 2 lines and 2 line position location attraction. Okay? So you take the 2 lines of signature patterns, the rotate surface locations in the moon line rotation surface and travel communications. Right? 2 lines and 1 line in position location of center. Now, directing signals and set location of the center interference is the center communication of 0 lines in position of 0 operation to surface locations. Travels lines, scan lines, and set location of new line, a center communication of crop circle setting into new ground line operation to an orb line rotation surface and set locations of directions. Okay, that my equation, right? So the 3 central lines is the circle line center and the circularity line rotation interference or rotation surface and correlation setting, indirect signals, and center communications. Okay, that my equation. All right. Done, but still there. All right. Bracket surface, correlate line division. Now the center calculation lines of 0 and 0 operation surface. All right. Sun routers and router line rotation setting, correlation setting, direct signals as locations. Center calculation lines opens all signals and sent lines of communication of center position. Center calculation lines. This is where it comes into its dimensional line sail and set lines in 6 position location to line interference, half pipe calculation lines, ground lines and line in a level, line rotation, atmosphere line calculation setting, equal line conditions of atom line interference, or rotation of balance, a calculation line directs signals of yin and yang, center calculation line, stream interference, and position of track communications. Right? Done my equation. All right. It's all set up through metric scale, guys. You just have to really understand how to set location in your systems. Okay, so we come in at alpha line rotation, setting direct signals locations of palpitation streamline. So that's 4 line settings, 4 line tracks, 5 line center line interference, 0 operation, 1 line signature, positive or negative. Okay, 0 lines of operation, positive or negative, 0 lines of operation, set location of 2 settings. Now, directing signals is to understand how to set the 0 lines of correlation setting, position of the moon. Moon surface is location of its own line, position location of its solar sail, and track communications. Okay? Now, in that center calculation, comes into higher positions. Now, the sun rotates its routers and routers in line rotation position across the stream of its moon of operation surface and set locations, directing signals. Now, when you direct a signal, you go through the line cross stream line, setting direct signal line interference. This sets position location operations in 2 line settings in a kaleidoscope and location system in projections over pi calculation. Done by equation. All right, as that set up line interference, we're going to keep that in signal. We're going to come back and track communication with system line setting. Directing signal lines, position locations, old patterns. Rotate the surface location calculations to a new pattern and line rotations. Cover the line center, waiting on signal line position locations into 24 to line signal lines of 25 set location settings. 0 lines, equal lines of 9, waiting line signals of 3 line waiting line rotation position of 12. It's set location of sectors over pi in direct signal and set locations. Old, new, old, new. Understand? Done. So that's going to travel. So when that travels, it's all set up. Conversion lines of set line high interference is going to travel communication and direct signals and positions. Operation, service location, position, operation, calculation. Now we're in position line track lines. All right, solar line setting, streamline rotation surface, correlate division set lines. Understand how to correlate line direct signals in set locations. So the bracket line center line interference has a zero line and positions all levels. We bracket location of two sets, all right? So we come into one and we come into one line setting, rotation surface, space anomaly and time sector and calculation streamline, space position and time sequence in operation of center line and yin and yang process of Fibonacci line swirl. Now, direct signal line interference, a zero calculation line, sets at dimensional scales in both line calculation streamlines and direct signals and three-step wave line calculation settings into alpha tone line rotations and delta theta beta and calculations mega, gamma line signature one string. Directing line signatures in line interference into sun of operation surface covers the streamline set location high interference of trial communication settings and direct signals to its atom line of rotation surface. Done by equation. Okay, so that signal lines, it's all set location synchratory line interference to trial communications. All right, so there's a lot of formulas, equation that needs to be set up, guys. All right, so we bracket center line condition of zero line. All right. Now come into zero lines, equal lines of calculation, calculation of confirmation, confirmation of triangulation lines interference, triangulation lines of box, calculation of triangulation. But so we got triangulation, vortex line setting high center interference, box lines, equal line calculations, line interference is allocation setting, directed signals, line position of travel, moon line rotation surface, correlation setting, sun comes in position, location of track line and communication. Okay. So comes in one line center. One line center is a rotational line spin. That spins line center location of plateau. Put a platitude line interference of 144 to 244 in track communication line settings. Platitude line interference and set location line settings in 7 steps in rotational line positions of 5 measure correlations of phenomenal lines of channel operation set location. Done by equation. All right, so setting position of traction is at 2 panels, the 2 panel line rotation interference, travels calculation of streamlines. 2 panels line string. Okay, we operate the signals lines in 2-strip location system. So we come into vertebration line settings, 0 calculations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the set location setting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 line conditions, setting directions. So lacing line calculation line, so the sun line rotates the surface location high direct signal. Setting direct signal line interference. The moon sets line calculation on the zero line operation ground lines of circle location position operation setting interference. Now setting track communication triangulation is a 3-set location setting at direct signal locations into a Merkaba line change, setting direct signals a higher calculation line of streamlines at a vortice line interference and 3-set location settings in direct signals of pyramid activation line directions and zero operation of new grounds, new operation line surface in a travel communication setting in direct signals of a rotation. Done by equation. All right, so that's going to go through signal locations. Done. Okay, so brackets. We go through one bracket, line interference of zero line. Come into 1, 1, 1, 1, line condition of 0, 0, and position of 1, 1, 1, 1, and set locations and directions. So the zero line sets lines set line interference, travels breaker line, set line interference, travel communication center, and direct signal and set locations. Now that direct signals back in correlation line positions to its sun of communication in line settings and high interference and echo chambers in line condition setting as 0 lines at 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 position. Down by equation. Okay, signal lines and rotation surface. Now we get the operation line setting directions. Now, directing line settings, we understand how to set up the 0 lines location of 1, 1, 1, 1, condition lines of 0, position of 1, 1, 1, 1, and calculation line settings. So we got an east line and a calculations to west line, weather pattern, correlation on clock line, high center, 12 lines of measure, 9 line calculations, box line interference of 3 set location settings, setting position locations into 15 perimeters and parameters and set location and directions. Now, getting the pi set lines of 3 lines sets position of split. Splits lines calculation line interference of 1, 2, 3 set location and directions. Directing lines of 4 in position of 5 and 6 and 7 line setting. 7 correlation line interference. We take the 7 line, equal line calculation setting, negative line interference. Equal line calculations of 4. 4 lines, 4 sets is position of 4 lines, equal lines of 3. Set a correlated center position location, open all 7 line calculation setting, and 7-digit number line and rotation surface and correlation setting of balanced communications. Done by equation. All right. Gone. All right. So when it's gone, it evolves. It centralizes communication in future setting. Okay. So in that direct signal, once you understand the bracket interference, it interfaces this location system to its latitude line setting. It divisions locations over pi. So you have to understand the line signal line rotations and correlation setting in direct signals in 1, 2, 3, 4, and set locations of pi, calculation line directions. Now the sonar line interference, that's one line position, operation of surface, correlation line centers of sun and communication of its position. Now, comes in line center of its dimensional line sail of its solar sail in a clock line rotation surface in an energy hub at calculations of a window and set location setting in a 48 line connection high system and travel line center location of a rainbow of stream locations. Okay? Done by equation. All right, setting signals and high center interference is set location of travels. Now we set location of zero lines, set position locations crossing signals zero. Zero lines is center communication, position of traction. Now we take the travel line settings. We change the communications. Remember, you're putting lines of numbers, letters, shapes, and symbols to turn it in position location to its unified line setting of zero calculation line directs the signal in set location of high setting interference. Okay, done by equation. All right. Okay, so everything that travels goes to an acceleration line stream. Done, but still there. Okay. Okay. Yep, Danielle, how you doing? No, I'm just getting everybody ready. What's going on with the line center location of formation line interference or formulas equation setting and high calculation setting of stream? Can you position locations in old section to new section line setting? Direct signal case position operation. Setting line interference of 3 set line condition line setting. 4 lines, position of 5. 5 line centers of 6. 7 line interference of 7. Line position of 2. Center position of 3 and set location of 5 and set location of 4. And 2 line center line interference and set location directions. Now, directing signals is all calculated to modify how you set line communication center interference and travel communication in directions, right? You know what I'm saying? Hello, how are you? I'm fine. Nice to meet you. So in travel line setting, travel communications, it's all allocated position of timeline, sequence, location, balance line, interference, position, operation, location, and triangulation. Okay? So you have to get balance and set lines to your finger points, line, division line, or direct location, your barcode, center line calculation settings of 5 and position locations in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 lines and 7 lines of 5 and position of 2. That's 7 over line of 8, 9, position location of 10. Directing line setting is really understand the importance to set location of 2 lines, 3 lines, and 4. 4 lines of 5, 5 lines of 6, and position of 7, right? You don't need 2 hands to set the location system. It's all allocated position, line, and interference of travel communication setting. It scripts its lines, it operates the line calculation setting, sets an oscillation line, triangulation line, rotation, and center communications. 5 lines, 4 lines, 3 lines, 2. Position of track communication interference and travel communication line directions in 3 sets of constant communications. Done by equation, right? I did that formation line setting all through structure. Okay, so we come to the clock line setting. Okay, clock line centers of 1, and position of 2, position of 3, and position of 4 set locations. All right, 4 clock lines and set lines of box line rotation surface. Now, directing signals of clock line setting in position location antenna, line interference, and position of track communication, and 0 lines operation surface location setting, energy line and rotation setting, and direct signal set locations. Now, directing signals is a 4-line panel. Now, it's 2 operation surface and set location settings and line position of 2 antennas, travel line center, and position of traction. Done by equation. Okay. So we have electrical line wire, set lines of 2 lacing lines of rotate rotors. Now that's lines on the calculation center line position of 4. So that's 1 line, 2 line in position of 3. So 2 lines of 3, 2 lines of 4, 1 lines of 0, and set location system. All right. So you take the 0 lines and line and lace, you lace communication line settings, set line condition high interference, and set location high interference, travel communication to its console, dimensional line rotation colored in line rotation to its surface. Now, setting line and rotation interference is set lines of 3, triangulation line position location of 6, 7, and 8, and 9 line setting and set locations. So set lines of 4, 4 lines of 3, and set line setting. That's forward waving select line, center line interference, and travel communications, up line channels, operation, set location, high center interference, and mega channel line interference, and new operation line, circle line, and position to the ground operation. Done by equation. All right, so mechanism high center of voice line grids, setting correlation line direct signals and set location high setting. All right, so we come into line setting rotations, okay, and calculation setting directions, okay, and then we come into voice box channel, okay. So it's all calculated and modified how you set location to a system, okay, travel line settings. So mechanism line interference, the founder's lines, a space line, the stream line, rotation line, certification, ground lines, comes line interference. So we laser line communication, crossing signals, crossing signals, crossing signal, locations and directions, crossing signals, crossing signals, crossing signals through directions. All right. Directing lines and lines operation as sun and communication to its position. Now the sun rotates its surface. When it comes in line of rotation, it comes into its own solar sail, a set communication of its direct signal of its operation surface and set location and system. Done by equation. Boom. All right. So that's set up through voice line grids. Okay. It's amazing where we're coming into line position, location, rotation, line position. So we get one signature line, 2 line interference, and 3 set locations, right? So there's a reason why there's line centers and line centers of panels and 1 line center of center communication and interference. We set location line and position of yin and yang. That process line calculation setting position of 6/9. Setting calculation line directions. So that's 6/9. Line conditions of 9/6. Center position of 6 and 9 in center as center communications. All right. So that's set up. So we got 169, line center line interference and position location earth line and position location universe. Universal line setting, high interference. Then we come into 196 line is calculation earth line, rotation surface calculation line positions. Equal line calculation setting, 1 equals lines of 1% and set location high center. 99 line rotation interference is location high system. Spiritual adaptation of feeding source and rotation surface. So 169 universal line set up and set location setting, and foundation graph lines of 12 line rotation interference, and travel communication setting, and a 24 signature line interference, line calculation setting, put a position line calculation line interference, and 1 line interference, and travel communication setting, 169 1 lines of 96 line interference, and travel communication setting, rotation surface, descent communication setting, and rotation surface and position attraction. Done by equation. It's amazing what we're coming into, line signature, line center, line interference, location of balance. Okay, I'm showing you exactly how to set location to a system, all through tone, position, location. All right. I'm going extremely fast, right? Through routers and routers, line setting, location, and settings. But position location in one universe, line center, line interference, and your set location, your perception location is now in line 196. Like position 169. Universal line set, cosmic universal line rotation surface. Ground lines operational line setting is now in 1% positions. Okay, the O line interference line calculation streamline. Direct signal locations is calculated and modified. So the 99.99% location is a 1% line calculation setting is holding on signal. It's at location center. Okay, so get in the modification system. Allocate timelines times streams times pi puts position of track at high center interference, puts in the new allocate position of new earth line rotations to new sections of new position of track lines of sector calculations. Different line center line interference of track communication center quadrants, setting direct signals and set locations. All right, that's done. All right, so how's everybody doing so far? A lot going on, right? How to set location near systems. Now we got a 38 line setting in position over line calculation setting, and boom, 39 rotations. All right, center calculation directions, 11 on signal and 3 thumbs up position. So getting in that direct signal comes in position, location, and projection. How we use the light signature lines of reception lines of digital layers. Now the plateau line stream interference comes into plateau, lacing line communication settings. Okay, so it's like steps to line communication, your digital platform communication, your dimensional location system. Okay, so I know it's extremely powerful. Okay, so center calculation line interference, box line rotation, the triangulation line settings, and position of box. Calculation, triangulation line division. All right, now it gets in here, interesting line. Just split the division line rotations. All right, Spectral calculations lines of V-line rotation surface. Travel calculation setting. Indirect signals is the location setting. Directing line signals is at location of travel line center interference of triangulation. Triangulation line interference, triangulation line directions is at location of high setting. Calculation of lines of zero line, correlation line, activation line, and stream line is at locations. Okay, that way question. All right, so you got the digital layers of platform communication now. 24 line settings, 24 center lines, 24 positions, and 24 locations, right? 24 line centers, position locations, inline calculations of 48 line settings. Put position of track communications, all right? So we got 24 signature lines, 24 dimensional lines, 24 activation streams, and set locations. So that puts position locations in line setting and position locations into pyramid line, center location, and new grounds, operation surface, and set locations, all right? Center calculation line directions. Remember, you take the number of lines in center line communication setting and direct signals to center operation. Now, the center calculation lines is line conditions of the elixir that laser lines its position. So with the pyramid line, shoots as line connections as catapult, triangulation lines as set location of travel, and set location of 4 line settings. Directing lines of 4, position here, travel line setting, and position location of travel communications. Directing signal lines, that's 4 lines and 3 lines position locations. That 4 indicates lines of setting, 4 lines of high center line and positions, add 2. Add 2 lines, position of 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Calculates line and direct line condition high system, puts position of 8 in central, 8 in center, and 8 rotation surface, and yin and yang, a process calculation of 6 and 9 at set location, high division of balance. Done by equation. All right, so that's going to be an out of line signal, high interference, and alignment communication is program location running setting. Okay. Coming into device, rotation surface. Okay, device lines. Okay, it's equal line calculation setting, direct signals, and set locations, all right? So dimension line rotations. Come in line omega line rotations, 2 omega channels operation, all right? It's 2 omega. Now the omega line center line interference of a sun sets routers and rotors and line rotation position of travel communications, directing signals. Line crosses zero line, center calculation of moon line, center ground lines high interference and new travel communication setting, and direct signals at set locations. Now, getting in that position locations crosses position of triangulations to its Merkaba to a tesseract line setting that rotates its surface location of center communications. All right. Now, directing signal, it's going to travel lines, a 6 line that cross lines, high center interference, and set location setting, direct signals. Now, we come into the heart line setting. Now, the heart line setting sets up a 2-panel line rotation surface and set location directions, directing line centers and positions of moderation, right? Palpitation line setting is string lines of 3, and set lines of 3, and set lines of 3. 3 cross line stream set location of travel settings. Now, directing signals, line interference, travel calculation line, and projections over line communications, and high travel set location. Okay? Done by equation. Oh, boy. All right. How's everybody doing so far? Isn't this fun? Is everybody having fun? Hope so. Because everything that we're doing, we're changing line signature and line, stream line interference to get you guys ready interference location of old lines into new lines. Center communication position, travel communication line settings, and solar stream and set location of center of operation locations. All right. So one position locations, center lines is communication of travel. Okay. Directing signals, crossing lines, signature line streams, and position locations, high interference into the opposite pipe conditions. Directing signals of panels, center line communications and new ground lines, operation surface and set location setting. Directing walk signals is set location high center interference and travel communications. All right. Now, when you get into center communication line interference, it comes into energy hub. It sets lines of travel line interference into rainbow streamline, activation stream location to setting and direct signal to set locations. Okay. It's all done. So we center lines of 3, center lines of 3, and center lines of 3. 3 lines of ground set up, 3 lines of center set up, and 3 lines of the atmospheres. All calculated triangulation line setting. Now, across the string line interference, we come in a double helix that rotates a spin line, circle line, high interference, and heat signature patterns across the streamline interference and track communication line direct signals at set location and new ground operation surface applications. Now, the center line and rotation interference sets calculation streamline. It sets calculations of 4 lines, of 3 lines, of 7 lines, of 5 lines, of 12 lines, center line interference, and travel communications setting, directing signals to a line position location and tesseract that changes rotators and routers and line interference and travel communications. Okay? Center calculation line string. All right, so double helix and rotation surface on space line and timeline sequence pattern correlation line interference and travel communication sky grid. Skynet line center and string line rotations. Center correlation setting, directing signals and set location to center and operation surface. Okay, very complicated stuff locations. Okay, now in that direct signal, we have line position locations, all right? 3 in calculations, 3 in measure, and 3 in balance. Okay, so 3, 3, 3, heart, mind, and soul. On line centers of time, center calculation lines of moon, sets position track line in its solar sail at set location high setting and direct signal. See it? Now, we surface lines and we find a graph line streamline that rotates its routers and line of rotation to a new Wi-Fi position location of track communications. Now, that directs the signals. Now, correlation line interference, we take the double helix, the hemisync line interference of left and right hemisphere line setting, center line communications and center positions to new line signatures, a ground line interference at set position locations to new pyramid activation line setting, and calculation modification center and set location setting and direct signals to new operation line setting location and high calculation. Okay? Woo! So that's how you set up line setting. All 3 location and holographic line set locations. Right? It gets complicated, but you understand the genetic line stream interference of a GOD that sets location and schematic line interference of its own model that basically puts its position in the higher calculation setting and higher lines of high position location is measured. Setting direct signals line interference. So there's 3 lines of heart line position of mind and soul line rotations and set location of space and time and set location setting in position tractions of the 25th of dimensional line, a string location system of 25th century. This locations is now set up. So that's how you set up the simulation lines of a new manifestation Earth. Okay? It's all set up. Boom. Okay? So, how's everybody doing so far? Okay. Gravity locks. Center position lines of track communications. Center lines of calculation settings. Directing line setting. Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it, Gingy. Whatever you miss, you can watch back. All right, so we have the center lines of ground line operation surface. Okay, you set communication setting and direct signals. Now, what we're doing is we're setting up a laser line rotation surface and location setting and calculation system of its own cocoon. It's that lines of calculation string line position. Okay. Now, you have to really understand how I set these things up in zero lines of zero line communication in position of a swirl that sets up planophore line rotation center and communication system by growthing lines of a new spiritual realm line in set locations. Now, directing line rotation is line interference. Now, travel communication center lines, platitudes is walk surface, all right? It's formation lines how to travel through 3 set line condition settings and direct signals in the line interference of 4 sets and 3 set line condition setting put in position of all lines of 75 track of communications. Okay, it's all set up. Walking surface line setting. Okay, directing centers. Position locations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So location directions, right? Platitude lines, bridge line, center line rotations, calculation string. Okay. Planetary line, routers and router lines, and new line rotation surface, correlation panels, operation line, direct signals, and set locations, high setting. Okay. Now, okay, the Earth line rotation and position of new line setting locations. Center calculation of the line is a zero line. The rotation line interference and position of tesseract changes the position of travels in center line position. Now, the operation line setting sets communications into center position. Center calculation of the moon sets lines in operation surface, covers the line calculation streamline to high setting. Okay, done by equation. So that's going to surface through channel communications. All right. So there's a lot to be understood, to understand what's going on, to use set positions and reaction line settings. So we get into the platitude line interference, zero calculations in position of ground lines, magnetic lines, and a high line, high calculation, streamline rotation position. Okay. So this center lines its communications in set location to your system. Travels lines is center line, center communications and setting and position levels of zero line. The rotation surface lines is center line communication, streamline is center positions. All right, so it's important to understand what you're doing through travel lines and mechanism line and rotation location grid lines, the highest center interference, and travel communication setting and direct signal set applications. Okay, that's set application. All right, so we change the coloration path, redirect signals. Okay, center calculation, center position, and zero calculation. All right. So as we come into that signature line setting, the magnetic high information lines of your panels of your acoustic record location setting sets lines of circles. Laser lines, electrical lines of high center interference at 3 set locations, high center interference at new ground set rotations. Now this calculation modifies how you set line condition setting interference in set location settings. This redirects signals, okay, into line position. Coming into alpha line, delta, theta. Sending calculation setting lines and communication center in line position of T reception of location system. Okay? Done by equation. All right, so that's out of sync and it's gone, but still there. How we all doing so far? I keep saying that over and over and over, but truly understand that changing line settings and anything through evolution line interference is redirecting signals as allocations through modification surface. This puts you in a high track communication of the system, all through watching line settings or a clock location. All right, so as we go into zero line, high center interference to travel communication line directions, we center its communications. All right, magnificent. Thank you, Tina. So we come into umbrella interference. There's 2 line track lines. All right, so we got 2 lines, alpha line, delta, and position of theta communications. All right, 3 line signature line streams. The earth line rotates its surface. Ground lines is center line, high interference to travel communications in set positions. Okay. Now, it comes in center line of the ether line, rotation surface, correlation line directions. Center calculation lines of the sun that rotors and routers line calculation stream locations, directing signals. Center line communications and positions. Moon operates in line calculation streamline and crosses signals into the sun of operation surface and set locations. Now, this directs signals in position locations of alpha, delta, and theta. Opens all box, opens all box, opens all box, and triangulation lines of bandwidth over pi in set locations. Done by grid. All right, so I'll say that location system. And 75, I say location line settings. See? Boom. Okay. So much to do. It's just the beginning for everyone. Amazing, isn't it? Because you see the correlation setting of balance. It's coming in your set position of track communication. How you use it is all through line setting. Okay? All right. So we got 2 lacing lines, 2 line rotations, right? Now it gets interesting because we come into box, line rotations of ground, circle line rotations, and position of travel. Okay? Travel lines, scan lines, and 2 set location of settings. Directing signals, picking up the 2 box line settings and high interference, 2 position locations, high interference of travel. Okay? Travel communication takes out the box line rotations and 2 set location setting and direct signals in position locations to heat streamer pattern, correlated line interference, position of summer, winter, fall, and spring, center calculation streamlines, 1 position location of 2, inline center locations and line interference of 3, set location of 4, lines of 5, position of 7, line conditions of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, line interference, foundation graph lines, lacing the lines of 2 lines of 2 box line rotations, back and correlation line, direct location of 2 lines of position location of lacing line communication setting, and direct signals of operation. Done by equation. So, try to understand what's going on, right? All right. So the center calculation comes in line setting. We add 2 frames in set location to your system. All right. 2 panels line stream. All right, so center calculation comes in a non-linear line, circle line, rotation, circulatory line, center interference. Center directs the signals, and higher calculation line directs the signal and set location to a new model of calculation. Right? There's a new model right there. Boom. All right. Yeah, definitely an inner child. Center position location line. Yeah, because it's a high line position. We're in the manifestation planet now. I'm just setting it up, the correlation. Center calculation lines of zero operation. Okay. So it's already implanted too. So we add the frame lines of travel communication to section line settings and 24,000 signature lines of T-receptor location and perception. Changing streamlines and hour lines of heart reactant line rotation interference. Setting correlating line interference and position locations. So we go for the alpha and calculations of delta, and we go to the center lines of theta. Lines is box line rotation. Higher calculation lines, box line rotation is center communication. Done by equation. All right. So it's amazing what we're coming in through set location to settings. All direct signals and set locations. And what are we into? 5, 5, 5, 5, add lines of 6. No coincidence. See? Time sequence lines of center. That's what we're in set location of 5, 5 and set location setting. Direct signals. Calculation equal line calculates the center line and position location, CPU. 5, 5, 5, set locations, bracket line, center line interference in position of 0, 0, 0. Calculation of 4 line centers and 3 line rotation surface and 3 set location of travel. Directing centers, line interference, set location system and travel calculation setting and direct signals. It panels lines of 1, 2, 3, and 4 set location of 0 lines of 3 and 3 lines in setting and 3 set locations and travel records of time sequence. Puts position line calculation setting. Now that direct set line interference puts a team line signature line stream at 844 and set location setting of travel line settings and travel communication in perceptions over pi calculation. Done by equation. Nothing's coincidence. Not at this level signal. Not at this rotation surface. How to coordinate your clock lines and high center interference at travel communication setting. It was 555 on my computer line. Okay? Nothing is coincidence. It's all communicating with you, or you are communicating with the set location setting, a travel mechanism line setting, and rotation surface, a calculate position location, operational location system. Travel line center interference. Now, in that line center and interference of travel communication, this is all set up location air clock lines. All right. So this is the center calculation settings now in directions. All right. So we're going to take that line settings and travel communication, gone, but still there. 24, yeah, 4 in front of me. Yep. Digital line center line interference. So we set calculation streamlines, location settings. All right. So we got signature line streams and directions. Okay. So we get a Fibonacci line swirl set locations, perimeter line rotation surface, directing signals in position of pi. Okay, one central line calculation setting in position of 8. 8 lines and line centers of 8. 8 position locations, 8 position locations. All right. Set a calculation of 2 panels in position locations of 2 line signatures. So we got 2 lines of solar sails and set location line interference of yin and yang process calculation lines of 6/9 in rotation surface. Done by equation. All right. All right. So travel position location of flux capacitor. Come into Y lines in position of the Z line. Set lines of laser line of travel with 3 set location directions. 3 lines of 3, 3 lines of 3, 3 position of 2 panels. Okay. Directing signal lines of the sun line rotation surface and correlation position of travel. Now that directs signals in one position location to its capsule, a calculation setting. That directs signals. So it's all about understanding how to set up letters, numbers, and shapes in a correlation panel line interference and turn it into a model of correlation setting in travel communication, telewaving, telecommunication, and tele-line set interference. It's all can modify how you morph the communication setting in direct signals at set location system of travel lines of circle line communication of crop circle locations. Done by equation. So it's incredible when you do these things, line signatures, and it's gone. Remember, everything that goes lines that disappear, it's not disappear, it's still there. It's still there. It's just in the time sequence line. All right, so locking frames is a box line rotation. Okay? Center calculation lines is center line rotation interference. Directing signals of triangulation and position locations to your set line calculation setting and high calculation line directions into your Merkabah position. Now, the rotation line center lines as communications. This puts another channel line interference in 3 set line settings, in 3 set locations of the new flux capacitor, and set location of new center line, and position location and operation line setting to new correlation line direction system, and position of track communications and all line center interference, and set location high center position of track communications. C3PO. C3PO! It's amazing how you set lines at high signature line streams, setting correlation of panels and high position of future line rotations. It's all calculated and modified how you use the flux capacitor compressors and lines of pressure correlation setting and atmosphere location of change. Directing signal lines and position location of symbiotic units, androids and line centers, symbiotic line stream and line rotations in position, cyborgs, calculation of androids, then bots, high calculation center, transformers, communication of settings, very high rise in set location, high center interference, base recognition location system. Position location of traction. Done by equation. Now it's done. See? So in set line calculation, this is the new Earth line rotation. Okay? Well done. Hooah! Yeah, it's traveling very fast, but you have to understand the calculations to its liquid formation line stream. Directing signals is set location of travel. Okay? It's all set up. All signature line stream sets line calculation setting into new pyramid line stream locations in position. See? Directing signal lines, center calculation center, right? I could set it up, but it doesn't matter. It's all set up, position location of travel. It's all position of travel communications. Right? There's your pyramid lines. There's your new Earth rotation system. So, to understand how to set line position of traction, you have to understand how it allocates position your future adaptation surface. Walking signal sets lines of communication settings. Directing signal lines at 144. High calculation of travel lines and the plateau line rotation of future adaptation surface and set locations. All right? It's all set up. Yeah. The new ascension is set up now. Okay? It's all done. Boom. Okay? Whoa. All right? Take time to really understand what is going on with you now through reaction line settings and high set location of your system. All right? Yeah, it direct signals is set location of your system. All right? But it's all set up now. Hoo-ah. Okay? So I hope you guys had fun. Any questions or comments, let me know. Center direct signals, no school line interference, and position location in mañana, but position location comes in Monday. Money track communication line direction setting interference. We come into the line setting line interference, a throat communication, heart lines, and high interference, or track communication system, track communication line direct location of an energy wash, and high set locations. Right? Adios.